Today I am going to work on a thrift challenge. Yes. Aunt Beck at AuntBecscreations and the.meri have challenged each other to go to the thrift store. Oh, no problem. We both say no problem. We both enjoy thrifting. But the challenge is to buy something at the thrift store, a minimum of $2. That's not hard. And the maximum, you can spend as much as you want. And to bring it home and to create some art with it. How fun is that? Now, Penelope was not a thrift store purchase. She was more of an antique store purchase long ago. I've had her for several years. I don't remember what I paid for, but it was not that expensive. And yes, she's become very much a part of the TheMeriAtelier. She's going to sit over here and supervise. Now, what did I buy? I did a video a couple weeks ago, and I showed this box of items that I had purchased. And in that box was this curtain. It's a valance, and it's crocheted, and it cost me, I still got the tag on it here someplace. Yes, I do. Where's the tag? Here it is. $2.50. So, but look at all I got. Now, the majority of this is going to be used when I do Lisa's fabric book. I haven't got there yet, but I'm collecting fabrics, and this is a part of my fabric collection. I am going to use it today. And then the other thing I got, one of the other things that I got was this package of postcards, and they cost me $1. So my total thrift store items that I'm going to use for this challenge cost me $3.50. Postcard index cards, they're called. These are by Avery, so we know they're a nice solid brand. And I think that on these, I do think I'll fold them. They are perforated. For $1, hey! This works. This is why we shop at thrift stores. Not only that, it's fun to upcycle and recycle. Look, that just fits. Oh, that's going to be fun. Let's do 4 of them. And I want to do both sides. So let's see what happens here. I start off by just drawing on my jelly plate with my inexpensive Dollar General markers. And this is nothing new. And this is not really the thrift store part yet. The thrift store part is that I'm going to pull a print from this using those postcards. And I'm just going to play with different ways of printing on those postcards using the jelly print. Now, this was an experiment with Penelope. Now I'm just putting color down on the plate, and I'm going to spritz it with water and pull the print. And I'm liking that. But now I decide that I want some borders on it. So I'm just putting a little border on the side with the markers again, just experimenting with different ways. Now, the paper on these postcards are really thin, so the paper does warp a little, but I do, when I'm finished, put them under some heavy books, and so they're nice and straight now so they can be mailed if I would wish to. Now I'm just drawing a bouquet of flowers. That is a red. Kind of touches the blue and gets a little brown, but mostly it's red. And I decide that I want to pull the print on a tea bag. And that works for the most part. Got a ghost print on the back of the Penelope piece. Now I'm just drying off the tea bag, and it just puts color on the tea bag is mostly what it does. You don't really see the flowers, so I'm getting out my markers, and I'm just sketching some flowers on it. And then I decide that I want to put that on one of the postcards. So I do put it on the ghost print that's on the back of the Penelope postcard. And these postcards can also be used as art cards. They don't have to be sent in the mail. You can journal with them. You can use them as embellishments. But for the most part now, I'm just experimenting with different techniques off of the jelly plate. Now I'm getting out some Winsor Newton watercolor markers that were on sale at Hobby Lobby, and I wish I would have grabbed a lot more of them. But at the time I didn't know if I was going to use what I grabbed, so I just pulled various colors. But if they go on sale again, I'm going to grab a whole lot of them because I absolutely love how they go on this jelly plate. There's no beading. The color goes on really smooth and it pulls smooth. I love this print. Look at that. That is cool. I'm really loving that print. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to continue on with different techniques using these are Winsor Newton water brushes. Very happy with these. Now I'm doing a landscape scene. That's a road going through a field, a country scene. Pulling different colors. I'm loving the texture that I get with that brownish color. And I got a highlighter because I didn't have any pink. It needed some color. And wow, do I love that. That is so fun. And you know, I think that doing it off the jelly plate, you say, well, why do it? Why not just put it on the paper? But I do think that there's a certain texture that you get. Now, the blue on that sky is a biggie marker, and you'll see that it beads up. It beads up. The biggie beads up on this jelly plate. So I don't think I'll be using my Faber-Castell biggies on this. I put another layer on it, but it beads up. And so do the inexpensive markers. Now I'm just pulling another ghost print there. Cleaning off my plate again. And the biggie marker leaves a bit of a stain, but not enough for me to worry about. And I'm just commenting there about how it beaded up. I will be showing you all these prints at the end of the video. Now I'm back to the Winsor Newtons because I am absolutely loving how they go down on the jelly plate. Nice and smooth. I get a very, very delicate print when I pull the print. And I do think that I don't think you can do the same thing on a piece of paper unless you applied some water. Yeah, I'm happy with this technique. That's my highlighter there because I need some color. I'm loving it. I am loving it. Now, the other part of this thrift store challenge that I'm using is that crochet valance. And I'm experimenting with different ways to put texture down using that crochet valance. I'm really doing both sides. And for the most part, I'm happy with it, but it's not really giving me the shape of the crochet. So I thought, well, maybe I need more paint. And I'm actually stamping down into the paint with the crochet, and I'm still not quite happy with it. I'm happy when I stamp down on the piece. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try my watercolor and see how that works, and stamp into that. And it gave me a nice texture, but it didn't give me a crochet texture. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try the inexpensive markers and then get them nice and juicy and stamp down into that. And here again, it gives me a texture, but it's still not the crochet design that I want on it. So I decide to stamp directly on the crochet piece and stamp it down on the jelly plate and pull the print. And that did it. So I'm going to do it again. I wipe off my jelly plate, and then I put paint directly on the crochet piece. See, I just paint the crochet, and then I'll stamp that down on the jelly plate. And then I'll pull it up and then I'll pull the print. Now I'm doing a print on both sides there, but that did it. That gave me a beautiful image of the crochet piece, and that's what I was going for. Now I'm just stamping off the wet paint off of the crochet piece. So I'm really happy with how this is going. I thought, well, I'm going to try some metallic. So I just brush on some metallic paint there. And here again, I'm stamping into it with the crochet piece. And while it works somewhat, it gives me a design, it gives me texture, but it doesn't really give me a clear piece. So now I'm going to try some frames and borders. And I'm just framing out that metallic piece there, just experimenting. Now these postcards can be used as art cards. So now I think, well, I'm going to frame one of my tea bags. And there you go. I'm really loving this. I'm loving that. So I'm just pulling up the excess off of the jelly plate, cleaning it up. I'm really happy with this, and it just proves that you can go to the thrift store and find really fun things, inexpensive to do your art with and to experiment with. You don't need to buy really, really expensive art supplies unless you want to. Now I'm just doing another Winsor watercolor piece, and I'm doing trees. And I'm going to see if I can't print that off on a tea bag. And it comes off really light, not really what I wanted. So I tried the black marker. And then I'm going to pull it on the tea bag again. And while it does it, it's still not quite what I'm after. But it's fun to experiment. I'm using the postcards and the tea bags from the dollar store. Now, I'm going to do some pieces that I can send through the mail. And I have this postcard stamp. That's not a thrift store item. I did buy that at the store. But the postcards are the thrift store item. And I'm just marking off some designs, bordering my postcards. These can be sent through the mail. And you can see I'm doing the mirror image on both sides, so that the bleed through is not so obvious. And I'll do one here, and then I'll do several others off camera and show them all at the end of this video. I'll do a flip through. So I'm just putting some dots on there, just tying the design together. Very happy with it. I have room to write a message and an address. And then I get the brilliant idea that I want to stamp out my Penelope stamp on it. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm stamping it off. And voila, there she is. Now there's a little ink in there that's dry, but that's okay. Here are my finishes for the thrift challenge. I'm really happy with how these turned out. I used this box of postcards that I got at the thrift store. They're Avery. They only cost me $1. And it says 400. Now, I'm sure there were not 400 in there, but there's a lot in there. There's a lot. There's 4 postcards to a sheet. Now, I used the jelly plate to do some of them, and markers. Boy, I really like how that turned out. These are water-soluble markers, so I probably will not send these through the mail as a postcard. But these could be art cards, too, because there is nothing on the back of them except for my little marks. So, well, let's just look at them. Aren't these pretty? These are some of my favorites. These were done with Winsor Newton Pro markers and brush markers. These particular ones. Look at that. Off of the jelly plate. I really do like the effect. It's very delicate, almost watercolor. So that was fun to do. Then I played with other things on the jelly plate. This is, in here, this is a biggie marker, and it beaded. left some texture. That could be an advantage, but I don't know about using the biggie markers on there unless you are not concerned about your jelly plate staining. It might stain a little. And this, of course, down here are the Winsor Newton markers, and they are a watercolor base. Now I also have this crochet valance. This is a curtain valance, and I just used a portion of it, this little part in here, to do some work off of the small jelly plate, which, by the way, was gifted to me by Terry Abrams. Thank you, Terry. But look at the little image that it left there. Isn't that fun? Not all of them came out great, but it's still fun. Here's a portion of one. I like them better now that they're dry than when I was doing them. This one, I tried to put like a border around it, just playing with it. See, I played on the back of it. This is a light green one. This is just craft paint. Craft paint again. This is kind of pretty in here. Here was Penelope. I drew with Dollar General markers, just a $2 set. It was fun to do. And of course, this was off of the jelly plate. I drew her on the jelly plate with the markers, and then I put the paper down and stamped. This was a piece that I did. This is a tea bag. It's too dark for me. Kind of have to hold it to the light to see it. But it was fun to experiment. Here's another one that I was experimenting with putting a border around. Just experimenting. And these will make nice backgrounds. So there are those. I'm not sure. I don't think I would send these through the mail. But they're fun to do. Here's another landscape where I used the markers. Then I had fun playing with doing borders around the postcard. And this is something that I would send. I used my permanent marker to do this. And I did the same border here as I did over here. And then I stamped it with archival ink. So this is permanent. This is my own stamp. And then the postcard stamp on the back is one that I've had. I believe I got it at Hobby Lobby. When they had a sale, I got this postcard stamp. And I did that with several of these. Some of them turned out and some of them didn't. But I have these different borders. Look at this border. Isn't that fun? And in fact, I'm going to do a stamp. And by the time you see this video, I want a stamp that replicates this border. I think that's fun. I'm going to do a stamp off of one of my erasers of this. So, and here's the same thing on the back. This was something that, maybe I'll send this one to Aunt Beck. Maybe I will. Just put a message there and address it there and put my address here and sign it down here and send it off to Aunt Beck. Yes, Aunt Beck. Here are some of the other borders that I did. I was just playing with the border designs. How fun. I like this one too. And then on the back, it's just darkened diamonds. This one was my scribble stamp that I used just the edge off of my most recent scribble stamp. That was fun to do. Here you can see it better along the edge there. This was one of my stamps, but my Penelope stamp is almost too large for this big border. It's pretty on this side though, isn't it? And here's one more. I was just playing with different types of borders. So that was my thrift store challenge. And I will be using the rest of this curtain valance in the fabric book that I'm going to do along with Lisa at My Eclectic Life. So, thrift stores, fun places to go, fun to explore, inexpensive, just fun things to pick up and do in art. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars to have fun doing art. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow morning.